Everybody, and welcome to the last session in the Career Clinic Hackathon series. We've made it, hooray! We've had 9 sessions running from October last year up until now, which has been good. So this week we're going to focus on how to hack effective communication. If you don't know me already, my name's Stefan. I'm from the UK but moved to Helsinki last August. I'm the COO of The Shortcut, and as always, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn if you have any questions surrounding The Shortcut or you want to get involved. Just a few house rules before we get going. Make sure your chargers are next to you so you don't drop out of the live stream. If you have any questions, you can write them in the chat sections of Facebook or YouTube, and Hannah will get back to you or ask them. This session is being recorded, which means that we can share the materials with you via email and social media after the session is completed. So today, as with all of the other previous hackathon sessions, I'm going to briefly talk about the shortcut, then today's objective, then the communication hacks, along with an opportunity for you to network with one another, then our final Q&A of the series. So here's my usual spiel about the shortcut. So we're the largest talent accelerator in the Nordics. That means that we equip talent like yourselves with the skills and networks you need to work at a startup or become an entrepreneur. We're owned by the Startup Foundation, which is an organization that also owns Maria 01/Wave Ventures in Junction. And we're completely non-profit, meaning any money we do make, we reinvest into our activities to better serve you. We have several values. One of them is our community value, which is why we put on these free events and activities. And our community value says that we are for the people, by the people. We support each other in our pursuit of employment, entrepreneurship, and giving back. And yes, it's really easy to get involved. We're on all the major social media platforms: Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. But I also recommend going to our website and subscribing to the newsletter, because then you'll be the most up to date. And I alluded to it before, but all of our events and activities are free to join. So it's a very low barrier to entry, and we'd love to see you at some of our future events too. Okay, now we can move on to the presentation proper. So today we're going to learn how to effectively communicate a 60-second personal pitch. Why are we looking at this? Well, if executed well, you make a great first impression, and you strengthen your likelihood of getting a job. I sort of touch base on this a little bit later on in the presentation, but people make snap judgments about you in the first 7 seconds of meeting you. So it's really important that you know what you're going to say and you're able to say it eloquently. So let's move on to the hacks. So the first hack is to use this framework that I've dubbed P. And I tried to make a joke about saying it's a piece of piss. Hopefully that resonates with you all, we'll see. But anyway, P is basically an abbreviation for point, evidence, explanation. So if you stick to this framework, you're able to answer any question in any context, and you're able to do it in the most compelling way. I'm going to move on now to each of those different I can't think of the right word, but anyway, I'll move on. It's okay. So yeah, so point is a characteristic. The P in the P framework is a characteristic. So I've given you some examples here. I'm extremely organized. That's a characteristic, being organized. I'm driven and committed to reaching goals. Being driven is a characteristic there. It's the point you're making. I'm a strong communicator. So the characteristic is being a strong communicator. Fairly simple, hopefully not too difficult. The E is the evidence. It's the proof that you actually have that characteristic. And I've given you an example here. I've said I'm extremely organized, which is the point, having had 7 years experience as a certified Prince2 project manager. So that's the evidence. I'm proving that I have this characteristic. Why is that important? Well, anyone can say I'm motivated, which is the point, and I'll be a great asset to your team, which is the explanation of your characteristic. But you need to prove it. Omitting evidence is the biggest mistake I've seen when reviewing applications for any job, especially in the bio of your CV or in your cover letters. So many people say I am driven, I'm determined, I'm a hard worker, but quite frankly, anyone can say that. Prove it to me. Hack number 4. So this is the second E of the P framework, and that's the explanation. So you've given, or you've spoken about your characteristic, you've given evidence that you've got that characteristic, and now you're going to explain why that characteristic is useful to the position you're applying for, or why it's useful for the company. And I've just embellished my example a bit further here, and I've said I'm extremely organized, having had 7 years experience as a certified Prince2 project manager. Through this experience, I'm able to make business processes more efficient, supporting the goals of the shortcut. I may have actually written this in my application for the shortcut. I think I did. But as you can see there, it's now a really compelling answer. So if someone were to ask me, why should we hire you? This is one of the answers I would give. If they were asking me, like, tell me about yourself, I would also use this as an answer. And if it's not already clear, the reason we do this, the why, is because it outlines why you're the best person for the role, or how you can add value. And added value is your biggest asset. Hack number 5. So if you're unsure about how to structure your personal pitch, or you don't know where to start, or you find it like difficult to deliver it, then I've created this template that will help you like write your very first one. And actually, I'm going to open it and go through it really briefly. So let me just open this up. Obviously, you'll have access to this later on. So in your personal pitch, you want to basically be answering these questions and then providing 2 examples of your professional strengths. So I'm going to zoom in. So obviously start by introducing yourself and using your full name. If you're not originally from Helsinki, then it's nice to say where you're from. You can talk about when you moved to Finland. If you're an expat, maybe you can talk about how long you've been here as well. And if you've got a higher education degree, you can talk about what you studied. So this is just a way of like breaking the ice, like to help you get into the flow of giving your personal pitch. And then beyond answering those questions, you should just pick 2 professional strengths which you think are your biggest assets. So I've listed them here. Professional strength 1, and give point, evidence, and explanation. Professional strength 2, point, evidence, and explanation. And then if you want to be more personal, and if you find you have time to fit it in, then also include a personal interest or passion of yours. And the reason is that recruiters or anyone that you meet in the future who is an important connection is also a human, and they relate to sort of human characteristics and passions. So if you say something that they also like, you're going to create great rapport, and that's going to put you in really good stead. And then at the bottom, I've just given a blank box where you can write your personal pitch in extended prose. Anyhow, I don't want to spend too long on this, but it's there if you want to help writing it. Go back to this presentation. I'm also going to take a swig of tea. Just to point out that this is my take on a personal pitch. As you become more confident, and feel free to change what you answer and what you say. It's perfectly fine. Okay, hack number 6. So when effectively communicating with anyone, you need to know what your key strengths are, and you need to make sure that they're relevant for the role you're applying for. And there are 2 ways of identifying your key strengths. One of them is asking your friends or former colleagues. Another one of them is doing a me map exercise. I'm not going to go into too much detail about what a me map exercise is right now, but if you Google it and research it, you'll find out. Or if you want to go through a me map exercise with me, then you can just reach out to me after this presentation via email or via LinkedIn. And it's important that we know our key strengths, because it's going to help you populate the personal pitch template. Hack number 7. So you need to think of all the possible evidence to justify your strengths. This doesn't just have to be in the work context. It can also be in your everyday personal life. I guess I kind of covered this in the previous slides about the explanation part. I think I'm just doubling down on the explanation. I've given some examples here. So I'm extremely well organized. At work, I'm able to manage multiple requests simultaneously. And again, I'm extremely well organized. I planned my own wedding for 150 people. It ran on time and on budget. So both really good examples, one in the work context, one in the personal context. And for those of you who maybe don't have as much experience in the working world, then you can see how using your personal experience is still really valuable and still gets your point across. And again, it's important to identify your strengths or the evidence, because you need these to populate your personal pitch template. Hack number 8, you need to work on your body language as well. And the reason is that when you first meet someone, you only have 7 seconds to make a good impression. At least that's what the science suggests. And when you're making that impression, roughly 50% of what you're communicating is non-verbal. It's not what you say, it's how your body is behaving and acting and how you look. And a really good example is if you're giving a presentation, and if I was to say to you, anyone got any questions? What I say and what my body is doing are not in sync, are not in line. So you're probably thinking, well, actually, does he want me to ask a question? I feel a bit intimidated now because his arms are crossed and his tone of voice was really off. So tonality and my body posture were 2 ways I communicated with you that weren't just my words. You can spend hours working on your body language, but through like online meetings, there are 4 easy things that you can do. Hopefully I'm doing them now. Hard to say, but you should make eye contact. So it feels natural maybe on a computer, but look directly in your webcam. That kind of comes hand in hand with positioning your body to face people directly. So make sure you're looking directly at a webcam and your body is straight. It shows that you're ready to listen and you're interested. When you're sitting down, try and lean forward sometimes, especially if you find something funny. As well as laughing, apparently the act of leaning forward is a universal sign that you're engaged and what the other person said you found funny. And lastly, smile. I know that these conversations and interviews might be difficult, but if you show warmth and empathy, you'll be remembered and it'll put you in really good stead. So yes, work on your body language. Okay, great. So hack number 9, I've given you an example of a really good personal pitch video. You can find it in this presentation. We're not going to do it now because this is a hackathon series and I want it to be a bit quicker. I just want to outline some of the steps. But it's a good example of how a personal pitch is done right. So do check it out in your own time, which I think leads me to the final hack. So we've kind of whittled through these quite quickly. Practice, practice, practice. After all, practice makes perfect, right? And you can practice in front of a mirror. You can record yourself and watch it back if you're comfortable doing that. I find that really difficult to do. Or you can practice with a friend. And if you're unable to do those 3 things, then you can practice with me. I'm more than happy to practice with you. So actually, that's the end of effective communication. I've tried to keep it quite simple. I've just tried to say that as long as you follow the PEAM framework, point, evidence, explanation, and you focus on your body language, and if you practice, then you're going to be pretty much there. Now I want to give you guys an opportunity to network. So if you haven't done this already in the past with us, I have this Flinger board, which is like an online whiteboard where you can write your name, your sort of area of expertise, and also provide your LinkedIn profile. And it's a really good way for you to meet one another and then speak to one another about your experiences and to keep expanding your network, because networking in Finland is the most important thing. So we need to do that. So hopefully Hannah's shared that link with you in the chat section of Facebook or YouTube. I'm going to quickly share my screen now. Oh, and I can see that Hannah and myself are already there. But I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes just to write your name, your area of expertise, and your LinkedIn profile. So until 10:47. And while you do that, I'm going to sip on some chamomile tea. Silence is a virtue, apparently. Looks like we have a few shy people out there, which is okay. If you don't feel comfortable putting your details here, then feel free to reach out to people directly. Anyway. Thank you. We've got one person there. Let's give you another 30 or so seconds. Okay, we'll move on. You can still continue to write down your name, your area of interest or expertise, and your LinkedIn throughout the rest of the presentation. We haven't got much more to go there, maybe like 10 minutes. So do that. Okay. So now we move on to the Q&A section, Hannah. I'm not sure if there are any questions in the chat functions.
No, not at the moment, but we'll see if any more come in.
No problem. I've communicated this so effectively that there are no questions.
That's right.
Okay, so just to let you know that this short presentation was built off the back of a slightly bigger one that I gave in September of last year, which was called Creating and Delivering Your Own Personal Pitch. You can find the presentation and live recording to that on this slide. And I think it's good to go through that presentation as well, actually, because there were a few exercises that I did with the participants during that workshop. We went through the personal pitch template and built it together. We then watched 3 personal pitches and we analysed them together to talk about what was good and what wasn't so good about them. And then afterwards, we practiced with one another. So that was really useful. So I recommend checking out those 2 things. Hannah, I'm not sure if there are any questions coming through now.
No, you did great.
Thanks. Thank you. So with that in mind, thank you very much for joining this session. You can help us create better events in the future by completing the feedback form. That's just been shared with you in the chat function. And that's all, folks. This is the end of the Career Clinic Hackathon series. I really appreciate you tuning in. Remember that you can find all of the previous sessions on our YouTube channel. And also, if you check your emails, you'll find them there as well. We plan to do this in some sort of different way and different format again in the future. But in the meantime, if you're a professional company and want to collaborate with us, please reach out to either myself or send an email to info@theshortcut.org because we'd love to hear from you. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. And Hannah, whenever you're ready, you can disable the stream. So thanks, everyone. Have a good day.